One of my worst experiences while working as a delivery driver happened when I had to make a delivery to a house I already knew would be a challenge. The lady who placed the order appeared to have some psychological issues. Her request was simple, just a cheesecake from the store, which came to a total of $28.73. She handed me a $20 bill and a $10 bill. As per store policy, I informed her that I could provide her with the dollar and change but not the coins. She then suggested I give her back the $10, assuring me that she would fetch the exact change. Reluctantly, I agreed, and she went inside to get the money. While I was on my way back to my car, I began counting the money she had handed me. To my dismay, I realized that I had inadvertently given her back the $20 bill, leaving me short on the bill. I swiftly turned around to return to her door and rectify the mistake. To my surprise, I found her following me. In one sudden motion, she reached out and touched me inappropriately. I was taken aback, especially because I'm a guy. I immediately stepped back, stunned by her inappropriate action, and explained the error in the change I had given her. However, she refused to believe me and took all the money back from me. Moments later, she returned with the $20 bill and the remainder of the change, now in nickels and dimes. Frustrated and upset, I decided it was best to leave the situation. Later, I discovered that she had pulled a similar stunt with another employee, though nobody believed his account of the incident. A few years ago, during my stint as a pizza delivery driver, I had an unforgettable and unnerving experience. This particular incident occurred late one Saturday night, probably around 1 a.m. It had been a relatively quiet night with only a few late-night pizza orders. I just completed one delivery and was awaiting my next assignment. Eventually, a new delivery order came through, and it was quite far away, nearly a 10-minute drive across town. I arrived at an apartment complex, a place that gave off a slightly eerie vibe due to the darkness and silence. The apartments were modest, each with its own outdoor entrance. I parked my car and walked down a dimly lit pathway towards the unit I needed to deliver to. The walk was unsettling, and a sense of unease washed over me. Reaching the apartment, I knocked on the door, but there was no immediate response. I waited, knocking once more, this time louder. The door began to open slowly, yet there was no sign of anyone. It was as if the person on the other side was deliberately hiding from view. Expecting the resident to step out and take the pizza, I continued to stand there. However, no one emerged. The apartment was eerily dark, with no lights on except for a dim glow coming from inside. I could vaguely make out a kitchen area with a table and a few chairs, but the rest remained shrouded in darkness. In an attempt to clarify the situation, I announced, "Pizza delivery." My voice quivered, but there was still no response. The pizza had not been prepaid, so I needed someone to accept it. Against my better judgment, I took a tentative step inside the apartment. As I moved further inside, the apartment remained deathly quiet. At this point, I had almost reached the kitchen area. But then, I heard it, a soft, barely audible sound of breathing coming from directly behind the half-open door. My heart pounded, and my instincts kicked in. I immediately retreated, leaving the pizza on the floor, and bolted out of the apartment. I didn't dare look back and sprinted back to my car. I didn't care about the unpaid pizza. I just needed to get away from there. In the safety of my car, I realized I'd essentially paid for that pizza with my own money, but there was no way I was going to stick around to find out who, or what, had been lurking behind that door. It was a spine-chilling experience that will stay with me forever. This is the peculiar tale of one of the pizza deliveries I made during my summer job as a Domino's delivery driver back when I was in college. It was just another night, and I had a routine delivery to make. Not too late, around 10 p.m. The destination was in a neighborhood that wasn't exactly the nicest part of town. The house I was delivering to was on a relatively busy street, with a sidewalk out front and a steep hill leading up to the houses. Upon arriving, I parked on the side of the road, grabbed the pizza, and left my vehicle. As soon as I stepped out, I noticed a man walking down the sidewalk about 20 feet away. He was heading in my direction, and I began to make my way towards the house. As the man drew closer, he suddenly stopped me and asked if I was a pizza delivery driver. I confirmed that I was, and he then made an odd request. He asked for a piece of pizza. I chuckled, explaining that I needed to deliver this pizza right away. However, my response didn't sit well with him. His demeanor quickly shifted from friendly to anger. In a swift motion, he walked right up to me and blocked my path, reaching for the pizza and trying to snatch it from my hands. I did my best to resist, but in the scuffle, the pizza fell to the ground, spilling out of the insulated delivery bag. To my shock, the man immediately stomped on the fallen pizza. He shot me a furious look and cursed at me while standing atop the now ruined pizza. I stood there in disbelief, a mixture of amazement and terror coursing through me. I thought to myself that this guy had to be crazy. However, my conscience got the best of me in that moment. One pizza wasn't worth the potential danger. I decided to walk up to the house and explain to the customer what had happened, even though it meant delivering another pizza, which would take more time. I felt I owed them an explanation. As I walked up to the house, the man remained on the sidewalk, still seething over the ruined pizza. He didn't follow me, and I was relieved by that. I knocked on the customer's door and recounted the bizarre incident. Unfortunately, from where we were, we couldn't see down to the sidewalk. The customer appeared perplexed, but surprisingly not too upset. He agreed to have another pizza delivered. As I made my way back to my car, I noticed that the man was no longer where I had last seen him. The pizza was still on the ground, but there was no sign of him. Approaching my vehicle cautiously, I barely glimpsed him crouching down behind the driver's side. I quickly turned around and headed back to the customer's house. I didn't want to get closer to that strange guy again. About halfway to the house, I halted and looked back at my car. That's when I saw the guy attempting to punch my driver's side window. Panic set in. I sprinted back up to the customer's house, informed him of the ongoing situation, and dialed the police. I waited anxiously on the customer's front porch. Fortunately, the police arrived in about 5 minutes. The man was still there, making an unsuccessful attempt to break into my car. He even tried to confront one of the police officers, which didn't end well for him. Finally, I managed to return to my car and leave the scene. Thankfully, the man hadn't caused any significant damage, just a few minor dents. I'm not sure if the customer ever received another pizza that night, as my boss allowed me to head home after the ordeal. I live in a quiet, small town where not much usually happens. I was out on a regular delivery to a seemingly ordinary part of town. As I pulled up to the address, I noticed a man on the sidewalk hunched over. It was just past 4 p.m., and I thought to myself, man, he's already drunk. A few houses down from this scene, I parked my vehicle and made my way to the intended delivery address. While walking up, I noticed several police cars zooming past me, racing towards the hunched-over man. I couldn't help but watch, thinking it was just another routine police response. As I turned my head to finally focus on the house, my eyes widened in shock. There was a trail of blood. It seemed to be everywhere, cooling down the steps and creating a gruesome path leading back to the man I had initially seen. My heart began to race. Suddenly, a woman in an SUV sped by, shouting, "Get the heck out of there." Her urgency jolted me into action. Without a second thought, I dropped the delivery bag and sprinted down the street. Later, after speaking with the officers who had arrived on the scene, I learned the horrifying truth. The man I had noticed had knocked on the door of the address just moments before I arrived. The person who answered the door had inexplicably stabbed him and then fled the scene. It was a chilling and surreal experience that left me shaken and haunted for the rest of the day.